Subaru is on a roll with new product rollouts, from the latest Forester to new hybrid variants and the latest Outback with its somewhat controversial look. But right here is the latest of two electric vehicles, the 2026 Trailseeker. In other markets, they actually call this an Outback, the e-Outback to be exact. Subaru decided that the North American iteration deserved its own unique identity, one that could, in a perfect world, resonate with a large audience and evolve into a household name. The Trailseeker does a lot of heavy lifting to make the burdens of EV ownership far more bearable for urban lifestyles, but it doesn't quite hit all the marks of a road trip ready or go anywhere EV, particularly when it comes to charging and range figures. Looking more comfortable in its own skin than its platform mate, the Toyota BZ Woodland, the designers here pulled off the perfect 21st century wagon look, all while keeping the front structure from the Solterra and Toyota BZ intact. But at the end of the day, it really does look like an Outback, or what an Outback should be, which is a rounded, long-roofed station wagon, especially here with these thick roof rails that are standard on every trim level. Compared to the Outback, the Trailseeker is just shy of an inch shorter in overall length, but has a 4-inch longer wheelbase. It's a tad narrower and about 2 inches shorter in overall height, but it maintains an 8.5-inch ground clearance. The design gives me visions of past Volvo cross-country wagons and resurrects the sleek lines of the late Buick Regal Tour X. Behind the standard powered liftgate with the second row in place, you'll find 31.3 cubic feet of space. But fold the seats down via these handy triggers in the cargo area, and that volume grows to 74. Unfortunately, getting the panoramic moonroof does shave a few cubic feet off of both of those numbers, and since this is not as boxy as an Outback, they fall short of that gas-powered wagon. Now, Subaru could have put their own spin on this interior compared to its Toyota counterpart, the BZ Woodland, but as is the case with all of these parts-sharing Toyotas and Subarus, this is pretty much a copy and paste. The only real big difference is the shape of the steering wheel, which some people love it, some people hate it. It's kind of like a stop sign, a square, whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely different. It feels good in the hand, and you can see the instrument cluster right above it. Here in the center, we have the standard 14-inch touchscreen, which is borrowed, again, out of the Toyota BZ Woodland, which does use Lexus-style HVAC controls. I like that we do keep these knobs with the screen in the center showing you your temperature. It's all very elegant, but this is the last generation Toyota audio multimedia system. This is not a Subaru system, but is still pretty intuitive and looks good. It's responsive. The maps are huge. The wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto works well, and I like that you have some consistent buttons here for climate control, so you don't have to go fidgeting for them. But there are some things you do have to still dig to find. So if you want to do your heated seats and all that, that is here, but sometimes it's not here. If I want to expand the map, that all goes away. So you will have to do this to get back to those functions, and there are no physical buttons anywhere to turn them on or off. And down in the center console, this is not exactly the highest quality plastic material I've ever seen. It's all very hard, but it is not piano black, which I do appreciate. 2 wireless phone chargers. They have a little bit of grip to them. It depends on the case you're using, but you shouldn't see too much sliding around going on there, which is nice. Shifter here is a turn/push mechanism. You push it down, turn. Park is a button there, so that's pretty easy to get used to as well. And at 5'9", I am perfectly comfortable here in the front seat. I have plenty of space to stretch out my legs. I don't like to be too scrunched up against the steering wheel, so I do feel like I have enough space to get comfortable to how I like it. Plenty of headroom, even with the panoramic moonroof. When you open this up, you do get extra room because the glass is a little bit higher up than the headliner itself. So overall, I have no complaints about sitting here in the front. The story is mostly the same back here. In fact, I have plenty of footroom under the front seat. I always love to see that, so I can shove them down there and let myself stretch out a little further. But as you can see, I have so much room between myself and the seat that I was sitting in. So I really can't complain about that as well. If you have taller legged or longer legged friends, they will probably not complain too much, but I can see how the headroom might be a little bit less usable for a taller torsoed person, because it seems the roof does slope back just a little bit as you get to this part. But overall, thanks to the panoramic moonroof, you don't feel claustrophobic at all. This black headliner does look a little bit more fancy than a lighter color would, but once you open up this glass, it feels like you're kind of in a convertible. And you have heated seats on the outboard positions, 3 level, as well as 2 USB-C ports and air vents on this top trim. Also, because of course we are in an electric vehicle, there is no drivetrain here, so the floor is completely flat. And if I scoot over, it's a middle seat. It's about what you'd expect. The seat back is pretty hard, but I could sit here for a bop around town. All right, right off the bat, the new Trailseeker is stupid fast. Honestly, probably a little bit faster than anybody needs in an Outback style station wagon thingy from Subaru, but I'll take it because for the price, this is the most powerful car in the segment. And that 375 horsepower is thanks to the more powerful dual motor all-wheel drive setup that you'll find here and in the BZ Woodland from Toyota. This will go 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Now, once you get up to speed with that 375 horsepower, you're going to have to come back to a stop, right? Well, the brake feel in this car is very, very predictable. The pedal is not too firm, and the power of the brakes are very, very suitable for, you know, the size of the car and the speed you might be decelerating from, like 60 miles an hour. But if you want to use regenerative braking, they do have it here. There are 4 levels of it, but I'm currently in the highest setting, and if I left my foot off the accelerator pedal, we're slowing down, but it is not one pedal driving. So if you're looking for a one pedal experience, this is not going to be the car for you. Now that we are in the twists and turns of the canyon roads here, you can really feel the curb weight or the lack thereof compared to the others in this segment. This car is quite nimble for an EV overall, especially one this long and with such a big footprint. I'm actually having quite a fun time turning the steering wheel, going through these curves. Steering feel is a little bit on the heavier side, but it's not going to be a sports car experience if you're used to something like a BRZ or a WRX or anything like that. Don't come looking for that type of driving experience. But at the same time, for something as practical as this is, I think Subaru went above and beyond in making sure that you're not going to have a completely dull time behind the wheel. It's worth noting that I'm currently in a touring model that is the top of the line with the 20-inch wheels, and despite that, I do think the ride quality is still quite commendable. I don't feel the harsh impacts of the smaller, sharper bumps in the road as much as you would expect from larger wheels like this, though I would like a chance later to compare these wheels with the 18s that are on the lower trims. Now, unlike Toyota's version of this, the BZ Woodland, you can actually not opt for factory-installed all-terrain tires, which is a little interesting because, again, this is the Subaru version. You would think that would be a no-brainer, but I would love to see that big 300 number hit and hopefully a mid-cycle refresh with a bigger battery or something like that, because everyone wants to see that big 3 up front. This is very much a typical electric vehicle, so very smooth ride, quiet cabin. Yes, you do hear some wind noise thanks to the fact that we do have on this trim the big panoramic moonroof and that gigantic roof rack up there. You do hear some of the wind coming from those elements, but other than that, this is a pretty serene driving experience that also comes with extreme comfort. I am very, very comfortable in these front seats. This is exactly what you expect from a Subaru, so they nailed it here. And Lynn approves. The all-wheel drive system here is actually a little bit unique. This is, of course, X-Mode, which is Subaru's branded all-wheel drive system, but here you actually can see the torque distribution change between the left and right wheels. That is something you will not see on the Uncharted or the Solterra or the Toyota equivalents of those. Being a Subaru, this does have the highest ground clearance in its segment as well at 8.5 inches, but from behind the wheel, it really doesn't feel that high off the ground, and I don't feel like I'm riding on something that's super lifted or anything like that. It's a very comfortable driving position, easy to get in and out of. So if you are someone with, a bad hip or bad legs and you don't want something to drop into, this is the perfect ride height for someone like you. Last thing I'll talk about here is visibility. The third windows in the back behind the C-pillar are quite big. So over my right shoulder, I can see quite a bit back there. Over my left shoulder, it's a little bit different because, of course, there's more body, more structure of the car to contend with. But overall, this is a very nice fishbowl effect. Not quite as fishbowl-y as a Forester with that tall greenhouse. This, of course, does feel a lot lower, and it is lower than that car. But I do feel like I can see out of the front very well because of the quarter windows here. The side mirrors are mounted on the body of the car, so there is that gap there, not blocking anything up here in the front. There is blind spot monitoring, but no camera-based system for you to help see what's going on over there, but the blind spot monitoring system will work just fine. If you are a fan of the look, like I am, you don't mind going electric, and you just want a true station wagon, then click on the pop-up banner in the top right corner of your screen, and Kelley Blue Book will help you find a fair purchase price. Trailseeker is available in 3 different trim levels. The premium trim gives you that 14-inch multimedia touchscreen, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, heated front seats, the power rear tailgate, and dual wireless phone chargers. You'll never find cloth seats in any Trailseeker, but the base trim does come with their StarTex trimmed faux leather. You're also going to see all of the active safety features that the Toyota and Subaru Alliance could muster. They also all come with blind spot monitors, automatic windshield wipers, a rear window wiper, and headlight washers. The limited trim adds things like the Harman Kardon premium sound system, the 360-degree surround view camera system, 20-inch alloy wheels, heated rear seats and steering wheel, a hands-free kick sensor for the power rear tailgate, and the digital key function. The top touring trim is the only place you're going to find the panoramic glass roof with the motorized shade or ventilated front seats. But you also get things like the radiant leg warmers, true leather upholstery, and the option of the $795 two-tone white and black exterior. Not only is this the electric, let's face it, Outback that the most eco-conscious Subaru buyers have been asking for, it actually goes above and beyond that mission by being pretty fun to drive and very nice to look at. Things that can't be said by all about that new Outback over there. But let's say this model is a modest success for Subaru. I think it was smart for them to give it a bespoke name because in the age of electrification, they do really need a new icon.